The David Pakman Show at davidpakman.com.
Great to have you with us today, including everybody from the I Love It When I Wake Up in the Morning and Barack Obama is President Facebook page. Check them out on Facebook. I got an email asking us to talk about our feelings regarding Syria and allegations of chemical weapons use. Now, U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry said that there is strong evidence, those are the terms he used, strong evidence proving that the Syrian government used chemical weapons in its war against the militant opposition. And this goes against recent UN findings, right? So Kerry said, there's no question in my mind that this fight is about the terrible choices that the Assad regime has made to use gas, which we believe there is strong evidence for the use of. Previously, the U.S. had said it lacked evidence that the government of Syrian President Bashar al-Assad was responsible for a gas attack against members of the rebel opposition. And Kerry also did not further substantiate his claims. Now, there's a number of different back and forths about this. That's not really the issue. Two people asked us to say, what are our red lines on Syria? In other words, do we believe that this chemical weapon usage is the groundwork being laid similarly to WMDs in Iraq to eventually have some kind of larger operation there? And do we question that? If it is true that Syria has used chemical weapons against citizens, would that be passing the so-called red line for U.S. intervention? Should the U.S. simply not get involved, period, unless there is a direct attack on Americans or citizens abroad? Where do you stand on it?
Well, I find it hard to believe that the U.S. would want to have anything to do with the country because I just don't see it strategically making much sense.
So you just don't think that there are, for example, resources or strategic alliances that would make sense to even get involved, and that's really what the U.S. cares about?
Yeah. I also think that, I do think the rebels should be helped more than they're being helped now. I think the atrocities of the dictator are pretty heinous. But I will say that what the U.S. should be worried about is who ends up in power after the coup is done.
And to that end, Natan, would it make sense for the U.S. to get involved in order to have influence over who ends up in power?
Well, that's potentially a slippery slope. I don't know. I mean, I don't really have a red line. I think that saying that the red line is the use of chemical weapons is basically saying that it's a red line for humanitarian reasons. And at that point...
then it certainly becomes hypocritical because look at all of the times we could have gotten involved for humanitarian reasons that we didn't because there wasn't also some resource or strategic alliance that
Well,
made
I don't
sense.
think that fact is a reason not to get involved in one particular case.
No.
Certainly, it's unlikely that the U.S. would get involved in every case. I'm just concerned that a lot of people outside of the United States criticize the U.S. for being the quote-unquote policeman of the world, and yet at the same time, everyone expects us to do something, in this case, for humanitarian reasons. I would say that what Lewis is saying is probably a factor here. I would expect an international coalition to at least, if they're not going to put troops on the ground, do something to help the rebels, whether that be for humanitarian reasons or because it's the right thing to do for the people of Syria in terms of the political consequences of this. In either case, I would hope that it wouldn't be just the U.S. doing this.